If you've been following some of the lefty discourse online, you might have noticed that it's been a complete and utter dumpster fire. Now, one reason, of course, is that kind of always is. Let's be honest. The left, by nature, is pretty large, varied, and very fractious, with many different ideas on how to get to the best outcome for not only the people in the United States, but also the world at large. I mean, one of the things that, for example, Michael Brooks really like to look at is how do we do a global working class movement and build solidarity for leftist movements, not just in the United States, but all over the world. Now, one of the problems is the left in the States, anyway, really can't work together very well. And one reason has to do with infiltration of leftist spaces with the right wing or by the right wing. So now, an investigation by The Guardian has revealed a pro Trump group running ads in favor of Green Party candidates in certain elections in certain places that happen to be very close in order to allow for a right wing candidate to get the edge. And so now, a digital marketing firm, according to The Guardian, closely linked to a pro Trump youth group, Turning Point USA, that's the Charlie Kirk group, was responsible for a series of deceptive Facebook ads promoting Green Party candidates during the 2018 midterm election. In an apparent attempt to split Democratic votes in a number of close races, these ads were purported to come from an organization called America Progress Now and used socialist memes and rhetoric to urge left-wing voters to support Green Party candidates. I want to show you a couple of those ads because I think it's really important to see the kind of stuff that they are putting up here. All right. So now that's a couple of the ads. Now I look at those and I'm like, especially, the one on the left, the Drake meme, I'm like, yeah, it's based. All right, I like it. Right. Late stage capitalism casting a shadow on the future of our children. Stop the wars. Agreed. End capitalism. Okay. Invest in our children. Wonderful. Wonderful. Sure. All right. So now I have no issues personally with going outside of the Democratic Party in order to push the conversation left. I think that the Democratic Party needs an outside force to push it to the left. I do. And it needs to be, I think, a pretty powerful outside force, which unfortunately doesn't exist in this country yet. And as far as the inside, understand that right now, the system is so unbelievably stacked against third parties that voting for them in national elections ends up in many cases, unfortunately, doing the opposite of what you want, and you end up getting a right winger. Again, at the state level, let me point out that at the state level, it's actually much different. Green and third party members actually have a pretty good chance at taking over state and local legislatures in blue states and turning them more progressive. We could use something like that, for example, in New York, Green Party takeover, because right now, New York has the ability to be the first in the country to go and actually adopt a single payer system. The only problem is corporate Democrats. Imagine if you replace those with Green Party members or, leftist groups, leftist candidates. Then you might actually have that situation, and that could lead to, again, hypothetical, but that could lead to maybe a better national conversation on Medicare for all, which would be great, So now I am in favor of that, definitely. And of course, it really does vary, depending on your state and your localities. For example, Seattle with Kshama Sawant, she's an open socialist. Fantastic. Wonderful. You can have Green Party wins in places, and I really think that Green Party or whatever outside party that you want that is a leftist organization or a leftist party or a leftist candidate should really start doing these local races. I think those are really, really important. You take over at the local level and then you build upward. It starts at the bottom, folks. It does not start at the top. So now, in places, however, where the right wing has a good chance of winning, an upstart Democrat does need every vote that they can get. Where the Greens, in those situations, the Green can end up actually being more of a hindrance and doing more harm than good. And we've all seen situations like this, which is why right-wing groups are smart enough to realize that they can capitalize on this. And so they will run ads, and there's nothing preventing them from doing so, at least when it comes to legality. There's nothing preventing them from pretending to be a progressive organization and running ads on behalf of Green Party candidates, who, by the way, in many cases, again, they're just running because they're running on what they believe. There's nothing wrong with these candidates. There's nothing wrong with them running in these races. But they are getting boosted by right-wing groups, by right-wingers with corporate giant, corporate money. And so understand that that is the situation that is happening right now. And of course, we know that they're able to do this because there is a lot of anger at the Democratic establishment right now. The Democratic Party, the duopoly, there's so much anger there. And right-wingers have, of course, capitalized on this in order to help some of their extremist candidates get the edge. Everybody who watches this show on the regular knows I have no love for the Democratic establishment. But I would, and this is where some of you might disagree with me, I'd rather have a lib in some of those important national seats than a member of the far right who would most certainly mount an assault on trans rights or whatever social issue flavor of the day they use to get into power. I'm sorry, but again, I'm going to vote for harm reduction to the most that I can. So now back to the thing is, right? So how did this happen? Well, according to The Guardian, Facebook was aware of the true identity of the advertiser. This is a group called Rally Forge. It's a conservative marketing firm. And now they were running these deceptive ads, and Facebook knew it. But the company said, well, look, you didn't actually break any rules. You didn't actually violate any of our policies. Rally Forge would then go up to set up a pro-Trump domestic troll farm in 2020. This is after 2016, where they had, of course, favored Green Party candidates, and then set up a troll farm for Turning Point Action, a sister organization of Turning Point USA, earning a permanent ban from Facebook. Not Turning Point USA, but Turning Point Action and Rally Forge banned from Facebook. Now, Sophie Zhang, a former Facebook employee and whistleblower, said, quote, there were no policies at Facebook against pretending to be a group that did not exist, an abuse vector that has been used by the governments of Honduras and Azerbaijan. She added, the fact that Rally Forge later on went on to conduct coordinated and authentic behavior with troll farms reminiscent of Russia should be taken as an indication that Facebook's leniency led to more risk-taking behavior. Now, Facebook says, well, no, nobody violated our policies, technically. And then the FEC also claimed that it didn't violate any laws either. Despite the fact that APN and its ad appeared to violate federal laws that require independent expenditures to be filed with the FEC and include proper disclosures on advertisement, as ProPublica and Vice News reported in 2018. Of course, they didn't do anything. Right now, the FEC is pretty feckless. They can't do anything. They won't do anything. They are evenly split, Republicans and Democrats. Republicans don't want to do a goddamn thing about federal election expenditures. They think that, well, we've got all the money on our side. We got all the corporations on our side. For the most part, we got all the billionaires, or most of them. Yes, we want their money to flood elections. And so, no, we don't want people at the FEC to do really anything unless, of course, it's those same corporations now that are becoming too woke. Yeah, that we have a problem with. That we have a problem with. Sure. Now, this led, of course, to the nonpartisan campaign finance watchdog group, Campaign Legal Center, filing a complaint against APN and then suing the agency in an attempt to force it to investigate the group. But in July of 2020, the FEC voted to dismiss allegations that America Progress Now had violated federal law after an individual, Evan Mulstein, took responsibility for the ads and attributed the lack of proper disclosures and filings to his, quote, inexperience. Ah, I didn't know what I was doing. Don't punish me, please. Yes, we impersonated a progressive group, and yes, we funded ads to try to, beat Democratic candidates, but by pretending to be progressive and in favor of Green Party candidates who had no idea that we were helping them or trying to derail them and derail any kind of progress. Oops, had no idea. Inexperience. Right. Bullshit. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. And again, this is technically against the law. It is illegal to knowingly make false or fraudulent statements to federal agencies, and the FEC appears to have taken Mulstein at his word that the ads were a sincere but novice attempt to support Green Party candidates. No, this is an AstroTurf group. Again, using Green Party candidates who didn't know that they were getting boosted by these people to divide the left. A cynical attempt to influence voters. In fact, a former FEC commissioner on Ravel, who reviewed the case to request The Guardian, called this a stunning case and said that she would refer it to the Justice Department. Quote, it seems as if it's clear fraud, noting that the FEC General Counsel's office appeared to have been misled by Mulstein. The requirement for the Justice Department to take on on an electoral matter is that it be serious and willful, and clearly in this case, it was willful, in my opinion. Brendan Fisher, Director of Federal Reform at the CLC, said this is an example of why disclosure is so important in elections. Swing state voters who saw America Progress Now ads promoting Green Party candidates would have had no idea they were the handiwork of Republican political operatives. The FEC's job is to enforce the transparency laws and protect voters' right to know who is trying to influence them, but the agency here failed to conduct even a minimal investigation. If they would find that these pages were administered by 3 different individuals. These individuals have, again, ties with right-wing groups. Jake Hoffman, Connor Clegg, and Colton Duncan. They administer this so-called progressive page, but also are administrators for Turning Point USA. Hoffman and Clegg were also administrators to Charlie Kirk's Charlie Kirk's Facebook page. Great. These admins are connected to Turning Point USA. One staffer from the Civic Integrity team said, according to internal task management documents seen by The Guardian, this is very inauthentic. I don't know what the policy here is, but this seems very sketchy. Another staffer named Riley Forge as being responsible for the ads. APN itself had spent nearly $5,000 to have the ads shown to users nearly 300,000 times. Riley Forge was, by the way, created in 2016 as a pro-Trump super PAC founded and run by Hoffman, an Arizona Republican who was at the time a member of the town council in Queen Creek, Arizona. In November 2020, Hoffman was elected to serve in the Arizona state legislature as, of course, a Republican. And since 2017, Riley Forge has been Turning Point USA's highest compensated independent contractor, paid more than $1.1 million over 2 years, according to the nonprofit's public filings. Turning Point Action, affiliated organization, also founded by Charlie Kirk, paid Riley Forge $700,000 for work supporting Trump and opposing Biden during the 2020 presidential election, and an additional $400,000 for work on the U.S. Senate runoff races in Georgia. In addition to America Progress Now and Turning Point USA, Hoffman, Clegg, and Duncan also served as administrators for a number of other right-wing Facebook pages. The trio each maintained 2 accounts to administer their Facebook pages, one using their full names and one using their first and middle initials, a violation of Facebook's own policy that each user can only have 1 Facebook account. One of each of the 3 men's accounts had been authorized by Facebook to run political ads, a process that requires submitting a government ID to Facebook for verification. One of Hoffman's accounts had spent approximately $650,000 to run Facebook ads on behalf of 40 different pages, including the official page of Donald J. Trump Jr. So, same people supporting the so-called progressive page that was running ads on behalf of Green Party candidates. And Facebook did nothing about it. They determined that the ads did not violate existing company policy related to political ads, though they did decide to deactivate the three men's additional accounts while allowing them to keep their original. And they waited till after the elections were over with and provided them with advanced notice. Seeming to be very preferential treatment towards these conservatives. Now, that made some staffers at Facebook actually pretty uncomfortable, and they spoke to The Guardian about this. One said, "What I find very problematic is the intention here is to clearly mislead users. The users in question clearly created a new FB page to hide their identity, which would be the grounds for removal on most surfaces." Another product manager actually produced an internal postmortem of the incident, which she described as a crystal clear example of astroturfing, deceptive campaign tactics designed to appear as grassroots actions, as well as playing both sides, and political ad opacity, since users cannot see who they are. Furthermore, I could see making a case for voter suppression. Another one said, unfortunately, it turned out that there's nothing we could do against these ads. We ended up only aiming to remove a few duplicate accounts under the fake account policy, but only after proper notice, and I believe we have not removed them yet. So, okay, they didn't really do a whole lot to stop these guys. And so, unsurprisingly, after 2016, 2018, they started right back up again for 2020. Rally Forge actually had reactivated its Facebook pages and accounts in June 2020, and it established what is considered to be a domestic troll farm in Phoenix that employed teens to churn out pro-Trump social media posts, some of which, of course, supported the big lie. Oh, the election integrity, the election stolen. Stolen. Because, of course. Look, I know, it really isn't shocking. Now, a spokesman for Turning Point USA says, oh, no, it wasn't a troll farm. No, we were just paying teenagers to put up pro-Trump content because they like Trump. Yay. Now, Facebook also did not take any enforcement action against Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action, or Charlie Kirk with regard to the Phoenix operation. Facebook also did not disclose Rally Forge's connection to America Progress Now and the deceptive Green Party ads. So understand, though, that nobody really faced any sort of actual consequences for this. Just nothing. Nothing. For this, what is actually a sophisticated, well-funded, multi-pronged operation. For one, you obviously boost your presence on Facebook by running all these ads with all the resources that you have, inundating people with ads and videos and in a lot of cases false information. And then you also come at it from the left and you say, well, don't vote for Democrats, vote for Green Party members because they're more progressive and you like that. Well, of course we like it. Now, the problem is, in a lot of cases, it ends up being a spoiler. Without massive reforms to the system, it's a spoiler. As much as you want to deny it, as much as you hate it, you know it's true. And that's the unfortunate thing about our system. This isn't about the Green Party, isn't about candidates themselves. A lot of the candidates I really like. A lot of the candidates that are third party, I like. I want to support them. I like the stuff that they're in favor of. But the problem here is it's the system. It's down to numbers. It's down to electoralism, which right now you've seen what's happening. You can't really afford to lose any seats. when it comes to, at least in my opinion, voting on principle. The cold hard facts, the more seats that you have, filled by people who align, more with you on policy, the better. And it would be great if we actually had more politicians that supported us on policy and actually showed that they support us on policy when we put those in those positions. That'd be great. The more left-leaning Democrats you have, the better you can actually counteract the Joe Manchins of the world. This is why I say primaries. Progressives. Get to those primaries, win. Then you don't have to worry about spoiler votes. You don't have to worry about Joe Manchin. You don't have to worry about any of this. It's garbage. And that's how it works. And as much as we rage about the duopoly, rage isn't going to change anything. It really isn't. Strategy does. Long-term infiltration tends to work. We have to be smarter than the right. And this is our problem. We have to be smarter than the right wing. We have to be smarter than the center if we want to actually advance to the left. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I can see it already. But understand that what are you doing right now that works? I don't see a whole lot other than rage. Rage doesn't win elections. Action does. Putting in the work does. And sometimes understand that you might have to vote for people you might not like in order to do some level of harm reduction. And if you can't handle that in the reality of the situation, that we are both outnumbered and outgunned in every sense of the word, and that we need to think and act strategically, then you might not be adult enough to be in the world of politics. You might want to reconsider. It's not just about virtue signaling votes that makes you feel good. It's really, politics is a dirty game. It is only about one thing, power. How you can attain it, what you can do with it. Without power, the left has nothing. So let's get the power. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.